Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today, I'm talking about Saturday Morning Mind Control by Phillips. And it's published by something or someone. I don't know who it is. It's Oliver Nelson, a division of Thomas Nelson Publishers. So what we have here is a book about, in the nuttiest of nutshells, Saturday morning cartoons are satanic. But back cover copy, do you know what your children are learning? Don't make the mistake of concluding that children aren't learning anything from television, says Phillips. Children learn by watching and hearing. They learn how to commit crimes, how to inflict pain, how to ignore the needs of others, what products are worth buying, and which people are considered sexually attractive. That's kind of the nutshell of what this book is. And for the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this 2 out of 5 stars, which according to Goodreads it's okay. And that's about where I'm falling. The thing is, with books like this, after the book I had just finished reading, I wanted something that I would consider light and essentially funny. I find this type of book to be quite amusing. I know it's not written to be that way. This is a Christian-centric book from I'm not sure what exactly the terminology would be, like a hardcore Christian. I don't know if they're an apologist or an evangelical, but basically the type of person who sees Satan everywhere. So what we have is this nonfiction book, and it's broken up into parts. Playmate or teacher? What kind of playmate is TV? How TV teaches your child? There's a few other things, and we move on to the lessons. The old Socceroo, so it's about violence. TV as a sex educator. Attention shoppers, so all about how certain cartoons and TV shows are just half-hour or hour-long advertisements. Then we have Saturday Afternoon and Beyond, where he talks about a trip to the toy chest. So it's about the toys that are products of these TV shows and such. At the arcade, so he's going after video games. Browsing the cartoon illustrated bookshelf. He's going after comic books now. And then let's go to the movies. Self-explanatory. So I really do find this sort of thing amusing because I'll give you a perfect example here. Where is it? I may have passed it up already. Here we go. First of all, there's a list of addresses to which you may register complaints or support. I think there's one for support. All the rest are for complaints. Here we go. Okay, so this is at the back of the book. Cartoons, and I'm not going to read every title here. I'm going to read the ones that I find incredibly amusing. Cartoons to turn off because they portray sex, violence, and the occult. Aquaman. Skipping, but Gem in the holograms. Kissy Fur. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like something simple enough. Rainbow Bright. Turn that off because of the sex, violence, and the occult. She-Ra, Princess of Power. Robotech is on this list, and I would argue that Robotech is not a show for little kids. Then we have the following often use occult symbols, mystical experiences, and criminal activities. Use caution. The very first one on this list, it is alphabetical, but Alvin and the Chipmunks. Also on this list, Care Bears, The Muppet Show / Muppet Babies, Richie Rich, Punky Brewster, Gummy Bears, Ay, ay, ay. Um, so, yes, as he goes through each thing, um, there are very few things I agree with. At the end of each chapter, he does have a little part that says, so what's a parent to do? And now I do agree with quite a few of the things he says, although in that section, because it essentially boils down to be a parent. Be aware of what your children are watching. Talk to your children about what they're watching. Find out if they have questions about what they're watching. That I agree with. Um, what I don't agree with is, one, he quite often is throwing preschoolers and 16-year-olds together in the same group. There's a point where he talks about essentially little kids watching Friday the 13th and Halloween. He even has, I wish I could find exactly where it was. I have little sticky arrow things, that you put in your books, but I can't find them. Because I wanted to put them in here to find these things specifically, but I can't find them. But he says, like, a bunch of 10-year-olds watched Friday the 13th and Halloween, and then researchers asked them what they remembered from Friday the 13th. And the one child said, I like the part where she killed her father and ate his head like a birthday cake. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not from either one of the movies that you just said they watched. So I don't know if your point is they're making up gruesome things that weren't in the movie, or if you just don't know what movie they watched. Can I find it very quickly? Actually, I'll look it up on my phone. I took a picture of a certain passage and posted it on Facebook. So, talking about Dungeons and Dragons, he says, Dungeons and Dragons, a role playing game that has a spiritual component and has the goal of gaining spiritual power. The game is heavily based in Satan worship, demonology, witchcraft, voodoo, murder, rape, insanity, suicide, assassination, cannibalism, necromancy, and human sacrifice. Dungeons and Dragons is dangerous. And some of the TV shows he talks about, one, I can't remember, something like Rainbow Bright or Care Bears or one of those. He talks as if the power of friendship is a bad thing. And I think the point he's trying to make, because he says this show, it teaches us that if you rely on friendship and you work together, you can solve any problem. This seems to be a bad thing, because I think the point is he believes you need to go to God to solve your problems. The only way you're ever going to succeed, the only way you're ever going to get, or the best way, the proper way to succeed, have a positive outcome, is through God, not through people. You can't rely on people, not in the sense that, people are unreliable, but you shouldn't rely on people because that's the wrong path. You need to rely on God. There's so many other passages I wish I could find, because I found them incredibly amusing. So yes, he talks, beware these shows. Witchcraft, Sorcery, and Magic. Archie Comedy Hour, because it has Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Bewitched, Black Star, Defenders of the Universe, Dungeons and Dragons, He-Man and the Master of the Universe. UFOs, those are bad. Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers in the 21st Century, Doctor Who, Lost in Space, My Favorite Martian, Robotech, Star Trek, The Young Sentinels. Gods, Goddesses, and Genies. You can't watch this stuff. I Dream of Jeannie. Genie, The Secret of Isis. Thor. Spirit Guides and New Age Practices. Care Bears, Ewoks, Shazam. Craziness, in my opinion. Oh yeah, he talks about symbols, circles and triangles. Can't have those in your kids' cartoons. And again, to me, he's mixing up little kids shows, shows that aren't for kids. And again, I do agree that a parent should pay attention to what their children are watching. But I grew up watching Tom and Jerry, an incredibly violent cartoon. I never hit anybody in the face with a frying pan. I grew up watching Scooby Doo. I never ripped a mask off of somebody's face. I grew up watching so many of these shows. I grew up watching horror movies. Now, I was a teenager when I started watching things like Halloween movies and Friday the 13th movies and the slashers, because that's when they were coming out. Um, there were some graphic movies before I was a teenager, but I didn't have access to them. Um, Mainly because we didn't have VCRs and video cassettes back then. So I disagree strongly with a lot of what he has to say. I have read another book, I believe the one about how Halloween is satanic. He co-wrote with somebody, and I have a book about how toys are satanic, and a book about how action movies are satanic, and I believe those are both by the same author. And he'll go on and on and on, pages and pages and pages, about how Saturday morning cartoons are making children more desensitized and violent and this and that. And then there's one sentence that says, coming from an abusive home may also be a factor. So this is obviously written from a Christian point of view. And basically anything that isn't Christian, and he's nice. He throws in Judaism, but anything that isn't that is gonna destroy your life. So, all of that being said, I find it very amusing. I usually have a good time reading something like this because I'm looking at it, I think, completely in the opposite way that the author actually wants one to look at it. Especially as an atheist, this stuff very much amuses me. But I can't go higher than 2 out of 5 stars. It was okay. Hard to say I liked it. I had fun with it. But do I like it? Based on what it is meant to be, I don't. Because I think it's 95% wrong. But I still had a good time with it. Saturday Morning Mind Control by Phillips. So, question for the video. What do you think? Are Saturday morning cartoons dangerous? And now this book is from 91 or something. So things have changed. Yes, 1991. Obviously, television has changed. Not just in the content, but in how much there is, how we view it. But what do you think? Do you think that Saturday morning kids cartoons are dangerous to children? Obviously, my experience is no. That's ridiculous. But again, I don't have kids, and I haven't watched Saturday morning TV in decades and decades. So maybe there is stuff out there now that's going to brainwash your children. And he speaks or writes as if, let's say, watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch will literally make your child into a witch. Of course, I don't believe these things. which is why I find the book so funny. I don't think anyone is literally going to become a witch with a magic wand and a talking cat. But it is written as if these things could literally happen. Again, I grew up watching Scooby-Doo, watching Tom and Jerry, he talks about the Warner Brothers cartoons, how violent they were. I grew up watching that. I never tried to drop an anvil on anyone's head. I grew up watching Spider-Man and Super Friends. Super Friends, bad. It's bad for you. And Speed Racer and Underdog, Adamant, Quick Draw McGraw, all that stuff. I've never been in a gunfight with anybody. I've never shot anybody. As I said, I've never hit anybody with a frying pan. I read more than I watch TV. And someone might say, well, you're the exception. I don't know that that's the case. He does talk about screens being addictive, and which, especially nowadays, he'd be crazy. He'd be going nuts now. But he speaks as if watching too much TV literally leads to drug use. If you watch TV 4 hours a day, you're more likely, you're almost guaranteed to start using heroin. And when he's talking about comic books, again, this is 1991. He has some very sort of anti-prophetic things to say, considering the state of comic book adaptations on the big screen and the little screen. He's like, I hope 10 years from now that these comics aren't being turned into movies and TV shows. Oh my goodness. And again, he equates things like Archie with things like with adult comics. He thinks, and this is where a parent comes in, but he thinks a child is reading every comic book there is. Whether it's, again, Archie or Richie Rich or, I don't know, Love and Rockets. It was 1991. I can't remember the specific comics that he mentions. But, he thinks kids are reading Richie Rich and Hellblazer. But anyway, I, in my limited experience, and not having watched any what modern cartoons are, modern kid cartoons, I don't think it's a problem. Especially if, and the one point that I agree with him on, especially if a parent is involved, which they always should be involved with their children. Also, he doesn't differentiate very much between kids' cartoons and adults' cartoons. The Simpsons is on at 8 o'clock for a reason. Family Guy's on at 9 o'clock or whatever it is for a reason. They are not cartoons for preschoolers and young children. But he seems to think if it's animated, it's for kids. Or at least kids are going to watch it. Which, to be fair, maybe they see cartoon. I'm going to watch that cartoon. He does mention The Simpsons. I don't think he actually mentions Family Guy because I don't think it was out yet when the book came out. I don't remember what year Family Guy came out. But anyway, what do you think? Are cartoons destroying society? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. Although it's nonfiction, what are we going to spoil? But post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. And that's all I have for you. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. And until next time, read more books.